Welcome, everybody, to the Conservative Greek. This is my second solo live stream doing this news broadcast live. I like this style better because I can just be me. I can interact with you, the people, directly to the person who needs to hear it. Today is a big day. Trump is taking off. He's hitting his stride, and you need to watch. Never fear, because the Greek is here. Never fear, because the Greek is here. Oh man, that intro gets me pumped up. And if you are watching on X or YouTube, what I want you to do is please like the video, subscribe, send it out to as many people as possible, because we need you to spread the word. It can't just be one person doing what he has to do, which is me. We need to spread the word so that we can make this too big to rig so Trump wins this election, because it matters, because everything about Kamala Harris is fake, and we know that. Kamala supposedly plagiarized her book. And her source for plagiarizing is Wikipedia. That's what I'm getting as her source for plagiarizing. It's pretty sad. Today is Columbus Day. And here's what Kamala Harris had to say about Columbus Day.
It is an honor, of course, to be with you this week as we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, as we speak truth about our nation's history. Since 1934, every October, the United States has recognized the voyage of the European explorers who first landed on the shores of the Americas. But that is not the whole story. That has never been the whole story. Those explorers ushered in a wave of devastation for tribal nations, perpetrating violence, stealing land, and spreading disease. We must not shy away from this shameful past, and we must shed light on it and do everything we can to address the impact of the past on Native communities today.
Yeah, she is just some sort of fool, isn't she? Indigenous People Day. Somewhere Elizabeth Warren is like, yay, my people. This is just getting ridiculous with the way she's going about things. And now she wants to attack Trump on not doing another debate and him hiding away. But don't worry, Gutfeld has us covered, and he did his own debate. So here is the debate that we deserve for the second debate.
So, Vice President Harris, I go to you first. You've been doing a media blitz this week. Do you think it's helped you with voters?
Look, Greg, I'm going to be clear. All right? I want to be clear. I grew up in a middle-class family. All right? And our lawn, it was so green. And I know that, that's what the Americans really resonate with. Now, look at the week that I had. Right? Hurricanes come and go, but call her daddy? Howard Stern? He let me sit on a speaker. So, when you think about the modalities of that and what the American people, what the American voter really wants to listen to, I think we hit the nail on the head.
Mr. Trump, would you like to respond to that?
Sorry, Ron DeSantis is calling. He calls me back so quick. Ron, we'll call you back. But she rhymes. She does a nursery rhyme. Nobody knows what she says. One fish, two fish, red fish, dumb fish. We know she's a dumb fish, but she couldn't answer one question about what she would do differently than Biden. She could have said, I won't fall off a bike. I won't fall up the stairs. She could have said, I won't die as president. What a layup. I won't die. He could be the first president to be assassinated by time. She'll be the first president to be assassinated by stupidity. Think of that.
All right. Next question to you, Mr. Trump. What's something you would do on day one if elected again?
So I would not have men in women's sports. Could you believe we're even talking about it? The only balls on the court should be for dribbling, right? For dribbling. And I will end the racist, think of it, Greg, the racist DEI, right? The DEI, because think of it, she was the first DEI hire, the first autistic hyena in the Oval Office, and we're going to put an end to it. We're going to put an end to it.
That one is great. I love Gutfeld, and I love how he jokes around about it. And those impersonators are just amazing. And it's not just the left-wing media, Fox News, now making fun of her. It is now the right-wing media and Saturday Night Live. And here's a clip. Kamala cannot be happy with the way this is going right now because she is losing everybody. And now I think they're getting sick and tired. They know the charade is over. You can't keep going and pushing Kamala Harris, this fake candidate. Like we said, she plagiarized her own freaking book. I mean, what more is there to say? Kamala is as ingenuine as it is. And people are waking up. People in the grocery stores are waking up. You can't hide the prices. You can't hide the price of gas. I've been saying this for a while, but now it's representative in the polls. And when you lose Saturday Night Live, you start to lose CNN. And this is them talking about how Kamala has had a terrible week. And this makes me happy because for all those lefties out there, they're probably crying right now watching CNN because they can't keep it hidden anymore.
She had a terrible week. It was a terrible week for the Harris this campaign. You had Gretchen Whitmer having to apologize to the Catholics across America for mocking them with some bizarro Dorito thing on there. You had Governor Elmer Fudd out hunting and not knowing how to load his shotgun, using the wrong gun. At the same time,
who's Governor Elmer Fudd?
Governor Walz was out there. It looked like Elmer Fudd. You know, be very, very quiet while hunting for rabbits.
Oh my God.
Right? So he can't load his shotgun. He's trying to appeal to hunters. He can't load the gun. He's using the wrong gun. At the same time, you have Barack Obama in Pennsylvania where he derided people who own guns. Remember, people in Pennsylvania were bitter and they clinged to guns and religion. Remember that in 2008? So they're trying to appeal to those folks at the same time while he alienates black male voters by chastising them. So they had a really tough.
Yeah, it's been a really tough week. And I've said this for a long time with Kamala Harris and her messaging, a new way forward, the way they want to attack the wokeness of America, not attack it, I mean, change everything to this woke culture, the free handouts. For the longest time, the people who have not been benefiting from the Democratic policies are starting to wake up. And this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Eventually, you're going to see things turn. And here's them talking about some demographics that are turning for Trump.
And the reality is that for the first time in 32 years in this poll, it shows that Republicans are beating Democrats straight up. When you ask people a generic ballot in 32 years, it shows that Donald Trump's doing better with black voters, Hispanic voters, off the charts. But what the most important thing is, what happened last week is that what was working with female voters with Kamala Harris was that there was some feeling of joy in the air. Well, that joy is gone. She had a terrible week. She picked a pointless fight with Ron DeSantis. She was losing in the Sun Belt, and she tried to recover by going on The View, which a lot of women watch. She went on The View. You talked about it earlier. And she wanted to clarify the two most important issues that are facing these two candidates, the economy and immigration. And she bombed like Rory at the U.S. Open, and she went out there and said there was nothing she would do that would be different than Joe Biden. And she created a campaign commercial for Donald Trump. And so she's trying to recover. There is no joy in the air. And everybody knows it. And it's obvious that there is a leak in the balloon here in the Kamala Harris campaign.
Do you see Martha Raddatz? She's trying so freaking hard. But he created. No, stop it. We'll show another clip later on in a few minutes of how JD Vance basically destroys Martha Raddatz instantly. It was amazing. This is why I love JD Vance, and you will see that in a little bit. But further to go on, Scott Jennings talks about how they're messaging and why they're losing men. And here is him talking about that. And I love Scott Jennings. For the while, CNN, I thought CNN was just going to drop him because, you know, he's just destroying them every night by telling truths.
It was a rough week. I mean, her faves are down. They're struggling with, I mean, the front page of the New York Times this morning, Democrats struggling with African-American voters, particularly African-American men. This gender gap issue is real. It's a real problem, and you see the Democrats reacting to it. And I think what they are now finally in October, the election, coming to realize is that a lot of men think Democrats care more about dudes who want to become women than dudes who just want to be dudes.
Well,
and no hunting, cosplay, or cringy videos is going to change it. The bet is made. Working class men, whether you're black, Hispanic, or white, persistently, consistently do not believe the Democratic Party, and specifically Kamala Harris, are going to do a thing for them. They've been told that they're the problem, and I suspect they're going to rise up on Election Day and tell the elites who told them that you're wrong.
I 100% agree with him. Dudes just want to be dudes. They don't want to be told what a dude should be doing. And these people, for the longest time, you can't treat your constituents and your voters like we're dumb, because we're not. We're waking up to it. You got Trump out last time. You did everything you could. You cheated. You did whatever you had to do to get him out. And this time, it's biting you in the bullet, biting you in the ass, as we say, because you cannot control things anymore. X is out there spewing truths, and you can't control, you can't censor enough to get rid of all this messaging that Kamala Harris just so desperately wants to. But the problem with Kamala Harris right now in her polling is men, especially black men. And I don't even like putting these racial categories like the Democrats like to do, but historically, black men have gone Democratic. But you're seeing now that that is changing, and it's very alarming, and the Democrats do not know how to handle it. And here is that.
And sometimes there's a trend line that I never noticed before and make me go, whoa. This is one of them, all right? This is the Democratic margin among black men under the age of 45 in presidential elections. You go back to November of 2012, what do you see? You see Obama by 81. Clinton only won him by 63. Then we're all the way down to Biden last time around by 53. A tremendous drop already. And then you take a look at the average of the most recent polls, and Kamala Harris is up by only 41 points. That is about half the margin that Obama won them by back in November of 2012. And this, I think, is, you know, when Barack Obama goes in last week when he was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, essentially talking to young black men, he made it seem like it was a Kamala Harris specific problem. This is part of a long-standing trend of young black men moving away from the Democratic Party, and Kamala Harris is just the latest to face that magnitude of younger black men going towards the Republicans.
That was most interesting here is the trend line and where some of the biggest drops happened or already happened in this case. How about black men overall?
How about black men overall? It's part of the same picture, you know. We're looking once again at younger black men. It looks like the worst Democratic performance since 1960, since JFK versus Richard Nixon. It's the same thing among black men overall. Again, part of a similar trend, but here actually the drop-off isn't as dramatic, right? Barack Obama won him by 85. Then you see 71 with Clinton, 69. Biden, basically the same thing, holding steady. But here, again, very, very weak. Only a 54-point margin. Now, again, still winning them by a large margin, but considerably lower than what we're used to, certainly considerably lower what we had during the Obama years. The bottom line is Kamala Harris with younger black men and then black men overall putting in historically weak performance for a Democratic candidate.
Is she getting any relief with black women?
All right. So, you know, we're talking about the trend line, right? And black women, look, she's doing better with black women than she is doing among black men. But here, there isn't a trend line almost until we get to Kamala Harris. So again, this is a black margin among black women. Look, Obama won him by 93, very large margin. Clinton won him by 93, a very large margin. Biden did a little bit worse at 85, but then you look here and you get a 71-point margin. Now, again, these are large margins, but the bottom line is when you're talking about the base of the Democratic Party, you would think that Kamala Harris would do very well among black women based upon history, and of course she would be the first black woman president, but she's actually doing the worst for a Democratic candidate among black women since 1960 if this holds, John.
And again, when you look at the numbers here, whenever you come in, looking at the trends is probably the most important thing.
You got it, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Yeah, these trends for Democrats as a whole, but especially for Kamala Harris, are very alarming. Like he said, 41 points in blacks, 18 to 44 of age, 54 overall if you take in the whole account, and 71% of women, 71 points, not percent, sorry, points in women. Now, these numbers are alarming, and I sense that there's a shift in this community, and they're waking up. The Democratic policies, their cities are not safe. Things are happening. These handouts. You know, Charles Barkley, I wish I had that clip. Last week said that he's been voting Democrat his whole life, and he goes to his hometown and he sees the same people being poor, same families being poor, same crime on the streets. Nothing's getting better. So you have to wake up eventually, and it takes time, and it is happening. The shift is happening. But what these numbers really mean is a landslide victory is on the table for Trump. Trump just has to avoid doing anything dumb. He has to go out there, stick with his messaging, too big to rig, and keep hitting this, what he's doing. As we know now, he's going to New York. He went to Coachella. He is a very confident man, and he's not taking any breaks. He's out there doing 2-3 rallies a day, doing interviews, doing podcasts. He's going to go on Joe Rogan next week. Trump is not taking anything for granted this time. He is going out there with his foot on the gas, and everybody needs to go vote. If you're watching this, make sure you're registered, make sure you check and go vote. But now Kamala's like, I got to send in the big guns. You know, Obama last week, and actually that backfired with black men because they don't like Obama, who is a divider in chief, telling them what to do. People don't want to be told what to do or how to vote. And that was apparent. But now Bill Clinton is probably Kamala Harris's worst enemy right now with what he just said.
Case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted, and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up, so we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work, there wouldn't be a problem. And he couldn't keep people all torn up and upset.
Did he just speak for Trump? Basically, Trump says the same thing. We need to vet these people. You can't let people into this country illegally. You have to let them in. We need immigrants. Immigration is good. You have to vet them and do it through the proper channels. And yes, Laken Riley would probably still be alive today if Kamala Harris didn't open the borders, okay, and let these criminals in. Criminals. And they think they're doing a good job here. Like he's out there talking for Kamala. Thank you. Trump just turned this into an ad, and yes, it's on X. And at the end, he puts, I'm Donald Trump, and I approve of this message. So everything she's doing is failing. But get Kamala do it better herself when she starts opening her mouth. And we all know when she opens her mouth, it's a travesty, and people lose hope and interest. And here's her talking about Trump.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Why does his staff want him to hide away? One must question, are they afraid that people will see that he is too weak and unstable to lead America? Is that what's going on?
Is there a little bit of projecting going on? He's too weak and unstable to lead America. No, Kamala, that is you. You are weak, unstable, and incompetent. Donald Trump is not being hidden away. He's going on Rogan, and I just got a notification on X on my drive home from work that he's going on another podcast, and you must be freaking out. because you're going on Fox News with Brett Baer this Wednesday. So that's going to be interesting. I'm very shocked you're doing that. Good for you. Finally going to catch a hard hitting, but Brett Baer, who knows how he's going to swing. I'm kind of worried and nervous how he's going to swing. But what are you talking about? This pandering you're doing is not working. People see through this. People see Trump everywhere. He does not stop. And you want to act like he's weak because while you're sitting there protecting your president, Joe Biden, who's dead, when you could use the 25th Amendment. If you really want to be president, now's your chance. Go do it. 25th Amendment him. But here is another thing that pisses me off, and it's the projection. She's now going to be talking about the DOJ and how Trump's going to weaponize that against his political opponents. And here's this clip.
That he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. He has called for the, quote, termination. Wait, hold on, because here's the thing. Let's let the courts handle that, and let's handle November. We'll handle November. How about that?
No, Kamala, we'll handle November. Make America great again. We don't need you going out there and spewing these lies. You have tried to go after him with your DOJ constantly. And guess what? He's beating case after case because they all know it's politically motivated and BS. And he's going to keep doing it. Why do you keep saying these lies along with Project 2025? I hate that your surrogates are going out there and still spewing those lies, and you still tweet about Project 2025. Or if we call them whatever, it's not tweeting anymore. If we call it X posts. And Kamala is just a joke. But here's her over the weekend speaking about how she wants no yes people around her.
The way that I like to lead, I bring folks in my office all the time, and they know I don't want any yes people. I want people to come in and, first of all, be prepared. Yeah, no time to waste.
Are you serious? Like, what is she on? Is she like all there? I don't want any yes people. Well, the truth of the matter is with your staff, Kamala, you have a 92% turnover rate amongst your staff. Your staff doesn't like you. So you kind of want to push things and make it seem like Trump's the bad guy. Nobody likes you. No one likes you. 92% staff turnover. And here's another clip over the weekend. And this one was funny because I didn't even know what the heck she was trying to say.
So when we think about what's at stake in this election, whoa, it's packed with some stuff. It's packed with some fundamental stuff. I say rather articulately.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. Oh, as I say, rather wait, that was articulately? If that's your articulately, you are the most incompetent candidate ever to be running for president of the United States. No one wants you. No one voted for you. They wanted to replace you off the ticket with Joe Biden. And then all of a sudden, Joe Biden died on stage. And all of a sudden, you got in. Nobody voted for you. And trust me, no one's going to vote for you come November 5th. Well, there's probably going to be a few people because you have the people who would vote for this pen right here. They'd vote for this pen over voting for Donald Trump because their hatred is so much. The Trump derangement syndrome is so high. They'd vote for anything than vote for Donald Trump, which is sad because they would admit too. I've talked to people like this. They admit that under Trump, they had better lives. Interest rates were lower. They were able to buy homes. They were able to go further with their dollar. But their hatred is so much that they would rather not vote for somebody over hate than have a better life for themselves. It doesn't make sense to me. But speaking of what Kamala did in San Francisco, when she was the DA, here's a former DA talking about Kamala. And I found this clip, and it's interesting because it shows just how she thought about things back when she was a DA.
We're headed towards a record homicide and violent crime rate. The streets are lawless, and the word is out. Isn't it true that if you're a drug dealer, The policy is you can't be arrested except after the third time, and they're coming in from around the Bay Area to do their drugs here?
Listen, I left the DA's office 2.5 years ago when my boss lost, and I was loyal to him. And I stayed out of politics since then. But somebody handed me an article from the legal newspaper, which I couldn't believe. This DA, Kamala Harris, floated a plan to the police department to not prosecute drug dealers until their third arrest. Now, remember, the police were not big fans of Hallinan. The police command, hearing about this, said, this is crazy. AC Transit, BART, and Samtrans will have to add extra buses and trains to bring all the drug dealers. One said, Captain Cashman said, I believe in catch and release for trout, but not for drug dealers. And it's just what you said. Word travels on the street, so drug dealers hear about this, and they flock to San Francisco. And there's a connection between that kind of rampant drug dealing and turf wars and homicides. That's why that article troubled me so much.
I thought she was a prosecutor and she was trying to get rid of drugs. But see, you see the incompetence at the DA level. She has failed her way to the top more than any human being I've ever seen. It's unbelievable. Most of us have to do a good job to get a raise in society, okay? I have to go to work. I have to work hard to make it in this country. But she can fail her way to the top and just laugh her way, cackle. Ha, ha, ha. It's a joke, a freaking joke. And then when J.D. Vance goes on with Martha Raddatz, she tries to say that's only a few apartment complexes that have gangs in them. And watch his response, because this is the clip I was talking about earlier where J.D. Vance just destroys her.
The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Yeah, they're almost like angry that it's being called out. It's only a couple of complexes. But let me say something. We live in the United States of America, one of the greatest countries in the world. If it's one or two being overrun by Venezuelan gangs, that's way too much. It doesn't matter that he uses it and he's stressing that this is a problem for the border. We've already known this, as I said in the past, that over 400,000 criminals have been let into the country. Why do they keep defending this stuff? And does she really believe what she is saying? It's like a joke. It's a freaking joke. And J.D. Vance, thank you. He is such an upgrade over the last joke of a VP that he picked, Mike Pence. And he shows how brilliant he is at handling these situations. He doesn't let them spew their lies. He goes on the offensive and makes sure that they are put on the hot seat. And he did an excellent job. And so you saw with CNN earlier, I showed you those clips that she's losing with men and she's struggling with men. And one of the issues with Kamala Harris is she likes to pander to the unmasculine man, not the working class man, and that is a problem. So she decided that they were going to do Tim Walz decided he was going to do a photo op with him hunting for pheasant. But I'm not going to show the real photo because he doesn't even know how to load a gun, or a real video of him loading the gun, because it was pretty pathetic. But here is a funny version.
It's not quite right. How do you give it back?
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This is a Beretta A400. I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap because it has
I'm sorry, I found that one funny. But then today I found an even better one of him working his shotgun. And this one's more fitting for Tampon Tim.
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This is a Beretta A400. I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap because it has a kind of their patented thing, a kickoff. So when you get old, it doesn't hurt your shoulder as much.
Oh, that tampon doesn't hurt his shoulder as much. Oh, it's a freaking joke. He didn't even know how to load his gun. Supposedly, he never even shot the thing there. It's all just pandering to try and make the Republican men go, oh, I can vote for them. No, you can't. You can't. Trust me. You want tampons in men's restrooms and boys. Men's restrooms may be okay. Boys' restrooms, it's a joke. But while all this is happening, Trump is out there in Arizona and the Border Patrol agents, not just the head of the Border Patrol, not just the figureheads, the Border Patrol agents were there and they endorsed him wholeheartedly. And here's Trump meeting with the Border Patrol agents. That is Trump in a nutshell, doing the things he needs to do to make the country better while Kamala Harris is faking and doing all kinds of pandering, trying to gain votes and say things she doesn't really mean. It's so disingenuous, and you guys should not fall for this crap. It drives me nuts when I see it. It drives me absolutely nuts. I cannot stand it. And people need to wake up. And here is Kevin O'Leary explaining it perfectly about Trump and how we need to wake up, and how he calls it out perfectly.
I don't care whether you like Trump or not. Trump governed this nation in a responsible way where everybody prospered. And if you don't believe that, you're a moron. Every single thing, every single indicator was on positive territory. All the working people, no matter what color they were making more money and there were more jobs. We didn't have inflation. We didn't have supply problems. We didn't have any of it. Now we got all of it, in addition to an open border.
He is 100% correct. If you look at the metrics of the Trump presidency, everything was responsible. He did things. He didn't start any foreign wars. He kept us safe. Metrics in the economy were amazing. Now, the Democrats will tell you this is the best economy ever, but you know they're just pandering for votes. Right now, they're using some of those oil reserves to lower the gas prices enough to make you kind of forget, but even that, they can't lower it enough to ever hit where Trump was at, and they know that. I went to the grocery store yesterday. You can't hide those prices, just like you can't hide the prices at the gas station. You can't change the optics, and Kamala can't go away from Biden's record because he keeps pulling her in. And I forgot to show this photo, and this one's a good one of Tim Walz. He looks like Elmer Fudd. You know, it's 100% true. Look at him there. It's really funny. And do you know how Tim Walz said that he wanted to get rid of the Electoral College? And this is why. I'm going to bring this map on. And this is a population map. You can see the 142 counties in yellow. That's over 50% of the population. Look at that. Most of the country is in those yellow spots, 50%. The rest of the country is 3,001 counties. 49% of the country lives in the blue spots. So this is the problem. Do you want California, New York, and the East Coast, up the East Coast, Chicago, Miami, defining who our president is every time? Or do you want the American people, all the states as a whole, to have their fair say? You know, this election is simple. Do you want things better? Vote Trump. Please like, subscribe, Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Please share this if you're on X watching right now. Please repost it. I want to get this out to as many people as possible. If you're on YouTube, please send this video to your friends. Say subscribe. Help me out. Help the Greek out. I love each and every one of you. Until Wednesday, I'm going to take off till Wednesday. You'll see short videos on my channel. And Wednesday night, we will have our State of the Election live with a panel of people. And I will then talk and use your comments on Wednesday night. I love each and every one of you. Let's make America great again.